Clark. I'm a senior brother in Alpha Sigma Phi, and I'm our Director of Risk Management.
I'm Anthony Timothy. I'm house manager.
I'm Jared Cull, I'm a freshman, and I'm IFC Assistant Recruitment and Historian.
My name is Jake Hines. I'm a newly initiated brother of Alpha Sigma Phi. Currently, I do not hold any positions, but I was just elected as parliamentarian for the next semester.
I'm Jason Muller, and I'm the current parliamentarian.
So we're going to start off today with our chapter of excellence showcase. First, we're going to talk about our recruitment efforts over the last year, and we're going to have our assistant recruitment director, Jared, start you guys off with that.
All right, so this year was a really good year for us with recruitment. Our Alpha Sigma Phi Nationals quota is 18 brothers, and for the first time in a few years, we reached that quota, and that's really important because our nationals then gives us discounts which can help lower the dues, and it just keeps us in good standing with our nationals organization. And that recruitment was also really helpful because we're losing about 20 brothers this semester because they're graduating and going inactive. So we needed to fill the gap and build the new generation for Alpha Sig.
And one of the major things about us hitting our quota with our nationals that we really look for is it lowers our insurance rates that we have to pay to our nationals. When we have the certain number of intake with new guys, then they lower our insurance because we're giving them more money through our dues.
And also in recruitment, we incorporated the idea that it's not just a member trying to rush us, it's us getting to know the pledges as well. So the pledges as well as the brothers reached out to each other and went out for lunch, dinner, spent time with each other. We really wanted to get, as much as they wanted to get to know us, to get to know about our organization, we wanted to get to know them.
Yeah, we focused just as much on formal events, such as meetings that we had scheduled on our calendar, as informal events, like setting up a group chat with all the potential rushes and letting us know when we're going to lunch, when we're going to the gym, when we're going to see a movie, so we can really get to know them on a one-on-one basis, not just in a formal, rigid meeting setting.
Personally, just going through the process, most of the brothers were very eager to reach out, and right from the start of the process, they were eager to meet me personally and almost every single person rushing as well.
All right. The next slide, we're going to talk about why Alpha Sigma Phi, and we're going to use our new member as that.
So for me, looking at Alpha Sigma Phi, the first thing I noticed was diversity. I looked at it as a platform for bettering myself as a man. One of the first brothers I met was brother Basil Farhat. He's from South Africa, but most of the brothers are from different parts of the world, so I was able to get different ideals, different lookouts on life. So diversity was definitely a major thing I looked at when I was considering joining. Also the importance of academics, being that after my first semester I was on Dean's List with a 3.5 GPA. I noticed that the brothers heavily take into account academics as being very important.
Yeah, this really affected my decision to join too. All these same reasons. The diversity was what really stood out to me when I rushed different orgs on campus. I realized that it could give me a whole new perspective on life if I was in a brotherhood with people from South America, Africa, Europe. There are people from around the world in our organization, so that was really important.
And then, one of the common themes that we interview each of our rushes as our last rush event, and then one of the questions we ask is, why are you choosing Alpha Sig? And I've sat on the board for the last 2 semesters for the interviews, and one of the common themes that we hear is, as you can hear, is the diversity of our organization. And secondly, we are against the stigma that you hear of the stereotypes of fraternities, and we really emphasize that throughout the rush process. So the guys that come to our interviews as the last rush event, come because they know Alpha Sigma Phi is not the fraternity on campus that is going to haze you, that's going to make you funnel beers, that's going to just encourage the behavior that you see in movies. We're encouraging academics, we're here to help you, and we're here to be your family away from home.
That was another big point during the interviews. A lot of the new members emphasized how they felt that once they got to know the brothers, we immediately treated them like family. We opened them with welcome arms. There wasn't any of that barrier that you tend to see in other organizations. Once we got to know them, they were our family.
So next up, we're going to talk about new member educator, and this was my new member educator right here with Anthony.
Yes. All right, new member education is probably one of the best positions I've ever gotten in fraternity. Honestly, I came in with the idea of I wanted to use all my mistakes and use them and make these young guys better. The class I taught was 12 members. I believe 7 of them were freshmen. So, I just wanted to allow them to have I wanted new member education not to just be, rhetoric, not just for me to just throw information about you about the organization. Yes, that is important, but I wanted to see growth as men. And so what I did was I incorporated a growth and development series where we didn't just talk about the history of Alpha Sigma Phi, but we also talked about other things, such as our behavior towards women, our behavior, holding brothers accountable. I even had a meeting where I titled it "My Story," where brothers went in depth about their background. Not your typical, I'm Joe Schmo from here, and I went to high school, and my favorite rapper is this. Like, no, like I grew up through this. My parents got a divorce. I went through this, and this really affected me in life. And I really want, because I feel like as a brotherhood, we need to get to know each other in depth, so we have a better understanding of each other. And this is something I'm very proud of, and it was very rewarding to see our brothers grow. Another thing I wanted to incorporate was, language. Our brotherhood is the definition of what a man is supposed to be. So you're not going to hear derogatory terms towards women from us. You're not going to hear derogatory terms from us, towards people who have a different sexual orientation or a different gender or any of that. I made it clear cut from day one that we will not tolerate this. And all the new members follow this, and I'm very proud of the class that we developed.
Then another thing that we did in new member education too was having the pledge class positions, having elections in the pledge classes, which is really great. This Jake was his pledge class president, and it really built a platform for him to become a future leader in the fraternity. So.
And personally, taking a position, my new member educator, Eric Perkowski, he instructed us to, after taking the positions, he instructed us to meet with the corresponding position holder. And by doing that, one-on-one, I was actually able to meet with our president, Jordan Marr, and see how exactly he's impacting the fraternity and making the fraternity better every day. Every day he can. He showed me the ins and outs and how possibly down the line, if I was going to take that position, how I would make the fraternity even better.
Another thing we hit on a lot was academics. Academics and risk management. Those are 2 major things that we hit on in our new member education. Because one, academics, I told, and I believe I said this verbatim, guys, don't forget why you come here. The fraternity is secondary to your education here. Your education is the key to your success in life. And while we do want to see you grow as leaders in the fraternity, we want you to grow as leaders scholastically as well. Also, risk management. We use past examples. There are countless examples, whether it be us or other organizations who have gotten in trouble, and we use it and as examples for guys. You can't do this, and not so much as you can't do this, but letting the potential members understand why they can't, and they're very receptive of that.
Yeah, and the reason we focus heavily on risk management this semester is because the disparity between the age group of our current members and our new members and the new guys we're taking in. A lot of us are seniors, and we've been on this campus for almost 4 years now, so we have seen the errors of other fraternities, the errors of our own fraternity, and we really want to emphasize it to these new guys because being placed on social suspension or probation with the school is not a good time. And we really want to show these guys that you can continue to be in a fraternity and continue to have the social life that you want to have, but you need to be smart about it. Risk management is very important to us as a fraternity, but also to the school and as students.
The next topic we're going to hit on is growth. No, there's a lot for this. I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm 17 years old. I was a first semester freshman that joined this fraternity. And since joining, I was able to get a 3.83 GPA, hold 3 positions, and I also used the Brotherhood to network myself, as a digital media, I'm a digital media and political science double major. In political science, I've been able to learn valuable experience by being a leader in my fraternity, but also in digital media, I was able to reach out to a friend of mine, a brother of mine, that's a DJ downtown, and he was able to connect me to the person that runs the club that he DJs at, and now I do digital media. I create the flyers, I take the photographs, I take videos, I make short movies and commercials for that place. So as a 17-year-old, this is valuable experience that I never would have been able to reach without the fraternity. Another member that had a lot of growth was one of my pledge brothers, Alex Browncart. He wasn't the most obvious leader out of our pledge class, but this semester he stepped up in control of our Safe Haven campaign and was able to spread it even farther on campus than we had ever done so before, and Tom will explain that later in the presentation. And then the last new growth is that since we were a class with 7 freshmen, 5 of our 7 freshman members didn't do so well academically. They didn't meet our 2.5 GPA in the beginning. But we were able to use our scholarship and our standards for this semester to lift brothers up rather than put them down. And almost all of the brothers that struggled with GPAs on their midterms this semester had all A's and B's because we were able to bring their grades up through the brotherhood by lifting them rather than putting them down.
And we want to emphasize how important that is to these young freshmen because when I was a freshman, I was not in the fraternity, but I still struggled academically because you're new in college. So not everyone's going to come out with that 4.0 their first semester freshman year. But these guys have a fraternity who places value in scholarship. So to have them reach their low, they're right off, but then have a foundation that can bounce them back, in which they are bounced back. The midterm grades came back phenomenal. Our academic advisor is a faculty member Porter on campus. He's a librarian. He meets bi-weekly with all struggling brothers who are struggling academically and sets up educational plans with them. And the midterm grades speak for themselves. All 7 of the guys that were struggling at the beginning of the semester are A's and B's now since midterms.
So our scholarship plan is our scholarship chair goes to the library daily. And he writes in our group chat, he hits up brothers who are struggling, he makes sure they get there. We have an online daily log of our study hours for that day. And then the people who do log in get visual praise on our Facebook page by our scholarship chair by calling them out and saying, "Good job, guys." Standards used to punish people below the GPA just by socially suspending them. This semester, though, we thought it would be better instead of just doing that, because that doesn't really help a brother realize they need to pick up their grades. They just feel a little bit like taken out of the fraternity. So instead, we have them meet with our advisor, Gordon. And I think that was a phenomenal idea because our advisor cares so much about us. And by meeting with him and talking with him, they get that little kick in the butt they need to realize that they need to pick up their stuff. Because when you have somebody from the outside stressing to you how much you need to get this up, that isn't a family member, who isn't a friend, it really clicks in your mind that this is something you need to do, this is something you need to focus on.
Before, when brothers were failing academically, the punishment was suspension. And not just social suspension, so it was suspension. You weren't allowed to wear letters, you couldn't go to chapter, no social events. And one of my mentors as I came into this organization was Rodney Ambrose, and he actually got suspended. And he told me how he felt, and he basically felt exiled from the organization. He felt that the organization that he once had pride for, so much love for, had just essentially turned its back on him. And now my big, Jordan Maurer, who has become president now, he wanted to change that narrative. He didn't want to punish brothers and just have them feel like that. He wanted to see what we could do to help. So in standards, when it comes to academics, we meet with Gordon bi-weekly. Honestly, you can meet with Gordon every day if you want. Anybody who's met Gordon Muir, he's a great human being. And we log our study hours. Our scholarship chair actually set up an Excel spreadsheet where we can log our study hours. When I was scholarship chair, I believe a year ago, I got scholarship a budget so that we could give 2 scholarships out to brothers who exceeded academic expectations. Now we split that up into a number of small scholarships so we can give it to multiple brothers. So I'm very proud with this organization's commitment to academics, And it's one thing to say that we're gentlemen scholars, but it's another thing to put that into practice, into what we do as a fraternity, and helping us grow in both our new members and our current members.
So now, community service is something that we've also been
Yes, time's up. If you want to show what your other slides are, in case they have specific questions about them, and then they can ask you questions.
Yeah, this is just about community service, and the next one is, you can just go to, this is our philanthropy highlights, if you guys want, those are just numbers. And then our Safe Haven initiative is just something that we're pretty well known for, and that we are continuing to expand for our new member education process and throughout the community here at Plattsburgh. That's the end of our slides.
So it's clear to me, certainly from your two newest members that are here, that your diversity in your brotherhood has been an attractive, selling point to others, that they see that and recognize that that's something different. What are you doing then within the brotherhood to further that education and awareness around cultural competency beyond we all look different, awesome, we're diverse. How do we then utilize that to be kind of an ongoing educational process?
One of the big things that we've noticed that we don't even plan to do is we'll have our international brothers, which we have quite a few of. They don't go home for holidays because it's obviously quite a far travel to go back to Africa or Nepal or where our vice president's from. So a lot of our international students will go back home with our American brothers for the holidays. And not only are our international brothers seeing what the holidays and the breaks are like from an American perspective, but we have the parents of our American brothers meeting our international brothers. One of our brothers, Basil, he's from Zambia, and he went to one of our new members who lives on Long Island over winter break and spent winter break with his family. Jared, you can talk about your big
My big is Alejo. He's from Argentina, then he lived in Mexico. He stayed with me over spring break for the whole week and was able to meet my family, and kind of explain to my family about what his life was like living in Argentina, living in Mexico. So it was a great experience for me and my whole family.
Yeah, it's just a lot of personal relationships get formed within this brotherhood through our big little selections, and then just through hanging out at our fraternity's house. A lot of brothers in similar majors will study together. Do you have any?
I'm close with a lot of brothers. We're probably like my closest group of friends. I'm a Haitian man, and then my friend Patrick is Trinidadian. My friend Toby's from Nigeria. My friend Dom is from Mozambique, and my friend Mo is from Tanzania. 5 completely different places in the world. And we all went to South Padre Island in Texas over spring break. Allison's here, so I can't say what we did there. But no, I'm kidding. But honestly, we don't really talk, yes, diversity is a selling point, but when you come into the brotherhood, it's just,
It's just there.
It's something you feel.
You don't see color, you're not cognizant of it. You're just, it's not like, oh, hey, you're a Republican from Rouse's Point, or you're a white dude from Rouse's Point. No, you're my brother now. And I tell people this all the time. Tom's right wing, I'm left wing. That's one of my best friends, And we always have conversations all the time. And the thing is, our conversations, they're academic. It's not like, oh, you're right, I'm wrong. They're very academic. It's like, all right, you see this point, why do you see it this way? All right, now that I understand why you see it this way, I understand that, and let me tell you how. And brothers are just receptive of each other's ideals, whether it be, philosophies on politics, religion, culture, anything. And I feel like that reception throughout the whole brotherhood, and that's what makes it so cohesive. This brotherhood has never been as cohesive as it is now. When I came in, brothers used to bicker. That's why chapter used to be 2-3 hours long. Now chapter's only an hour long.
And we got 51 brothers now, but
Yeah.
it's shorter somehow. That's because the cliques, when McCaffrey and I were pledge brothers, when we came in, this fraternity was so cliquey, it looked like a high school. And that's just completely disappeared over the last 2 years. No one fights, it's a beautiful thing. The brotherhood, you can sense the brotherhood when you walk into our chapter now. It's amazing.
And also a big thing is with the new members, our brotherhood has really embraced the fact that we know that a lot of us are going to be seniors. A lot of us are leaving this year. These gentlemen here, especially these three younger gentlemen, they're the faces of our organization, you know, a year, 2 years from now. And so we embrace that, and we want them to know. So I'm very happy that we've incorporated, and you can see throughout our presentation, we've incorporated an environment that they can succeed in. And I think that just speaks volumes as to where the fraternity was when Tom and I got in and where it is now.
So, I'm sure on spring break, you all hopefully still led with your values, right?
Yes.
That was on the 6th. But I'm going to circle back because you said you don't see color. So, as a woman of color, I want you to see me as a woman of color, and I'm very aware that I can pass as white in spaces. But it's very important that we visually see people's differences and we acknowledge them. And I'm challenging and pushing back a little bit on that because what I'm also hearing is people with differences, different identities, or coming from international students are finding a home or finding value in your organization. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you are honoring those differences and making the environment welcoming. So that those individuals are like, there's all these fraternities that I could join, but Alpha Sig's doing something different.
Oh, okay. Well, when I said we don't see color, I just mean like, I don't know, we're just like a brotherhood, like, you know, like that's my brother, you know. But we are cognizant of our differences. This fraternity wants to learn. We want to learn about each other. No matter where you're from, no matter what part of the world you're from, we want to understand. So if you're Jewish, okay, tell me about the Jewish faith. If you're Muslim, tell me about the Muslim faith. Tell me about the Quran. Tell me about, you know, the Torah. You know, oh, you're Baptist? Okay, well, I'm Catholic, so like let's talk about the differences. You know, that's what makes it so easy, because we just take the time to want to understand. You know, you're only, like, when you take the time to learn anything, that's what's going to make it better. And I feel like that's why we're so successful.
Jared, do you want to?
Yeah, where I'm from is it's almost 100% white. It's middle of a farm town in New York. There's really no diversity at all there. And when I came here, I was worried that, like, some people would be worried that with such a wide range, people wouldn't be getting along, there would be a clashing of cultures, but that's exactly what draws people in that are diverse, is that there is no clashing of cultures. It's that me and all the brothers, no matter what race, whatever religion, whatever political background, we can all come together and still enjoy each other's company and learn from each other. So it's not like we have to, because of how easy it is for people to communicate in this brotherhood about those types of things, we don't have to force it. We don't have to have a seminar on how to, in our chapter, about how to keep diversity alive, because we just do. We just do keep diversity alive inherently through our day-to-day communications with each other.
And another important fact of how we make our international brothers feel welcomed is, so on our campus, the international students will, when they first get here, you can see as they click up together, obviously. You know, you speak the same language, like you're going to hang out with people with similar backgrounds with you. When our national brothers become our brothers, their friends become our friends as well. So not only do we have international students as our brothers, but their friends are hanging out with us as well. Like, they come to our fraternity house because it's a good place to hang out. Like, you know, you're not going to have to deal with, you know, ignorance that you can find in a small place like Plattsburgh. So not only do we bring in international brothers, but we continue to be friends with their friends as well. And then I would say also Alpha Sigma Phi is one of the bigger fraternities that also supports the multicultural organizations on this campus. We do a lot of events with Alpha Phi Alpha, Sigma Lambda Upsilon, like one of our brothers, Chris Salas, they had their annual spring event out in front of the ACC, and he was DJing for them. We just do a lot of coordinations with the smaller multiculturals, but also, you know, enhances our diversity values.
And another personal thing that happened to me, Passover was just recently, and I went home for that. When I came back, people were like, oh, where'd you go? I went for Passover. And some people didn't understand what Passover was, so like McKay said, we want to learn. I sat down with the 4 or 5 brothers, and as I explained to them what Passover actually was, what we do at Seder, why I went home for, why it's one of my favorite holidays. And it just made me really happy that people just wanted to learn about something that I took passion in, and that I found that in this organization.
Yeah.
He's so timid.
I know for me personally, being fortunate enough, my parents always wanted me to travel. So I've been to, luckily, over like 12 different countries in the world. So I've been able to see how the other side of the world lives, different backgrounds, even be able to eat in somebody's home in Costa Rica. But whenever I have the time with one of my international brothers, I just ask them a question about where they live, like what kind of traditions they do, or what kind of food they eat. Like, I'm just always interested to learn about like their country or where they come from, so that I can understand them better as my brothers, so that we can be a more cohesive unit. Because if everybody understands where each other comes from and what each other value, then we can all incorporate those values and all become more of a cohesive brotherhood.
So one of the selling points for being a chapter of excellence is you can take first semester freshmen new members. And so by your admission, that was the time where a lot of new members struggled academically. And so what's different next year if you get that designation again? Like, how are we going to work with them differently and prevent what happened this semester from happening again?
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Oh, okay. Well, to be honest with you, the practices that we've put in place, we needed, in a sense, we needed to fail to understand, what we could do then. So like if we, for example, all right, we got chapter of excellence. If we had all our freshmen get 4.0s, we essentially would have learned nothing. Because you can't, realistically, you're not going to get chapter of excellence every single year and have that whole new class of freshmen get 4.0s every single year. So we needed to fail. But I'm happy we did, because once we did that, it was like, okay, now we know that we're lacking in academics. What can we do to improve that? And it's the small things, like logging your study hours, meeting with our advisor. Our advisor and our sergeant at arms both have a list of all our schedule, of all our due dates for projects and exams. Our faculty advisor has a proxy. Obviously, he asks us first, but he has a proxy to our midterm grades. And he asks us. And when you have, we've put in place a lot of help. And from what Tom said earlier, it has obviously helped. So to be honest with you, these practices have been put in place. They're not going to be removed anytime soon because they work. So if we are granted chapter of excellence again, then better believe brothers will. I'm still going to be active, so better believe that brothers will still log in their study hours. They'll still be meeting with Gordon on a regular basis. We want these kids to grow, but most importantly, we want everybody to have a degree here. We want everybody to walk across the stage, look at their mom, smile, and say that they made it.
And the scholarship doesn't only start in the pledge process, but it also starts in the recruitment process. When we're recruiting, we focused very heavily this semester on looking for brothers that would contribute to the fraternity academically too. People that looked like they wanted to learn, that seemed like they wanted to better the fraternity and themselves. They wanted to better everyone around them and their community. And through academics, we looked at brothers, or potential new brothers, that really showed an interest in their future. And it's those kind of people that will build their academics up because they really care about it. So with those systems in place, and the right people, it's a perfect mix.
And then looking at the actual numbers of our GPA over the last semester, so we succeeded very well on top. Like, our brothers are performing academically well. We have a lot of them. There were 17 of them, I believe. But we're still doing well at the top. We just had a falling out at the bottom because we had a lot of young, new guys, which the older guys had never dealt with, because when we were freshmen,
there was senior guys above us, but like we didn't know how to handle freshmen below us. So now that this was the first time that we brought in freshmen, there's a lot more, like what McAnthony was saying, we know what we did wrong, and we fixed the problems. We reworked our complete standard system, like we sat down with our advisor, like we really worked out the kinks of this, and the brothers that did do poorly academically are now doing well academically. They've also now have that empathy that if we do take in first semester freshmen, they know that they can actually talk to these guys as, hey, I screwed up. Here's how I can talk to you. Here's a real person. It's not just someone preaching at you.
Where are the